Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and boy, we're coming off a crazy week. Welcome back to Behind the Velvet Rope Live. We're talking all about this insane presidential election, some can't-miss movies, and some hot new TV shows. Here's a sneak peek. On this episode of Behind the Velvet Rope Live, we hear about Amy Adams' exciting month with her two films, Arrival and Nocturnal Animals. Funny man Kevin James teams up with Andy Garcia for a new action comedy, True Memoirs of an International Assassin. Danny Devito goes behind the lens for short film Curmudgeons. Michelle Dockery is leaving Downton Abbey behind for some good behavior. It's week 2 of our Train Like an Angel series, and Elsa Hosk shares her tips for getting in shape. And we are joined in studio by Chicago Med's Nick Gehlfuss. All that and more on Behind the Velvet Rope Live. All right, guys. Well, needless to say, Amy Adams is one of Hollywood's best and, in my opinion, most underrated actresses. With 5 Oscar nominations since 2006, she's essentially become the female Leonardo DiCaprio. Everybody wants her to win one. Well, this year she's got an incredible shot because she's got 2 movies on the way, one that opens tomorrow on November 11th, and then Nocturnal Animals right behind it. The one opening tomorrow is called Arrival, and I caught up with her about both of them. Check out what she told me. What are people going to get when they see Nocturnal Animals?
Hopefully they get a mix of things. I mean, they're going to get a really harrowing experience mixed with sort of this depth of emotion and evaluating sort of choices in society and the way it's kind of deep. It's very deep. Yeah, it's not a light ride, but it's worth it. Yeah.
Tom Ford, what a genius. I mean, he gets tired of dominating the fashion industry, so he's going to go make, hopefully, an Oscar contender here.
It's amazing.
Talk to me about working with him.
He's awesome. Tom is a very meticulous and detailed director, but then he creates an environment where you can have fun and it's free and you get to sort of live in this world that Tom creates, and I just loved it.
You have another movie here that's incredible too, Arrival. Tell me all about Arrival and what can people expect?
Arrival, it's very similar. It deals with a lot of, not similar, it's a very different film, but it deals with a lot of thematic elements, sort of like how we deal with our choices, embracing life, and it also has these wonderful sort of sci-fi and political undercurrents, but at the heart it's a very emotional film.
So the next 2 weeks are the weeks of Amy Adams, because Arrival, as I'd mentioned, opens tomorrow, November 11th, and then Nocturnal Animals is right behind it on November 18th. It stars with Jake Gyllenhaal in that one. Both are incredible movies, and they're going to definitely land Amy right back in the Oscar race. We're going next to a legend, one of my all-time favorites, actually, Danny Devito. I fell in love with Danny Devito when I saw Twins, him and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the greatest combo of all time. And now he's lighting up the TV screen on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This guy's built one of the coolest and most iconic careers in Hollywood. Well, he decided to get behind the lens for a short film called Curmudgeons. He also stars in it, and he gave me the lowdown. Here's what he told me.
It's called Curmudgeons. It's 4 years ago, my daughter Lucy is a member of Ensemble Studio Theater, and we saw a one-act play, and she said this is a play that would make a great movie, and so we made an arrangement with Josh Conkle, who wrote it, the play, and we developed it. So it's a Manhattan project, really, New York story, and last year we decided to make it, so we did it around October. It's really a lot of fun. David Margulies stars in it, and Lucy and I are in it, and Ket Burkett, and it's a lot of fun.
You obviously heard him say Lucy and I. He's referring to his daughter, Lucy Devito. This was a family affair. How cool is that? Jake Devito, his son, produced it. Lucy stars in it with him, and you can catch all of them because Curmudgeons is now available on Vimeo. How cool is that? Danny Devito is embracing the technology age, one of my all-time favorites, and I was totally geeking out over meeting him. Next up, I promised you guys last week that we were going to be doing a 4-week cycle with the Victoria's Secret Angels, a segment called Train with the Angels. Well, this week is week 2, and I got to catch up with one of my all-time favorites, Elsa Hosk. She is now one of the veteran angels, and she gave me her tips for working out as well as the advice that she would have for younger Victoria's Secret models such as Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, and Kendall Jenner. Check it out. How do you stay in shape, and how do you prepare for the show last minute?
We work out a lot all year round just because we're in lingerie all the time, so you kind of have to. And I also come from an athletic background, so I really love working out. But it's a lot of eating right, eating really balanced, having time to go to work out, and really seeing that as a job.
You're now approaching veteran status as a Victoria's Secret.
I know, it's so crazy.
You're one of like the vets now. How's it changed like from when you first started to now?
It's changed so much. I mean, the most major thing is being an angel, of course, and having that status, and that you know, people like starting to know you, and you know, you become more comfortable in your work, and you get to know all the other angels, and so it's definitely like my life has turned like so much just working with Victoria's Secret. It's been an incredible journey.
And you have a whole new crop of young ladies right behind you with Kendall and Gigi, and Bella's working in her first show. What advice would you give to the younger group that's coming up right behind you?
For the show specifically, the best advice I ever got was to really just feel the moment and be part of it, and like feel the musicians. Don't have any decided things that you want to do, because when the moment comes, maybe the performer will start interacting with you, or you will, you know, the crowd will do something. Like, you never know, so just really try to be in the moment and enjoy it, because it goes by so quickly.
Needless to say, you will be watching the Victoria's Secret Fashion Show December 5th, 10 o'clock on CBS. And by the way, they just announced their performers, The Weeknd, Lady Gaga, and Bruno Mars. A-list concert. Can't wait to see it. Well, guys, we have an enormous announcement to make. I'm so excited. The BTVR Live family is growing. No, I didn't get anybody pregnant. I'm not having a child or anything like that. We actually have a new member of the family, Ashley Daniels. She's our West Coast correspondent. We're so excited. She's going to be taking BTVR Live bi-coastal, and you get to meet her now. All right, Ashley. Hey, hey, hey.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Hi, how are you?
How are you, Ashley?
I'm good. I've got this beautiful weather. It's like 90 degrees here in LA. You know, it's an amazing day, and I can see you. I'm watching you on Facebook too. So you look very dapper.
Well, you know what? I liked you, Ashley, until you decided to rub LA's weather in my face. Now the relationship is over.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a Boston girl, so it's extra exciting for me, except like, I have to say, you have it better than me when it comes to Christmas songs and like the Christmas feeling, because the Christmas music is playing on the radio now, but I just can't listen to Mommy was Kissing Santa Claus with like the sun blazing on me, you know? It's just not, it doesn't feel like that Christmas feeling.
All right, so I gave you a little bit of an intro, but I figured I'd let you do the honors. Tell everybody, who is Ashley Daniels?
Oh, this will take a long time. No. Ashley Daniels is a Boston girl who lives in LA now. She is, I should just say I am. I work for several different online networks. I work for AfterBuzz TV, which is an online network, one of the biggest online networks, dedicated to super fans. I recap a bunch of different reality shows. I'm a reality TV junkie, I would say, but I'm very, I love good dramas too, and I love good scripted TV as well. But I recap a lot of TV shows on AfterBuzz. I'm also on the Tomorrow Show with Kevin Undergaro, which is a really fun show. It's Mondays and Thursdays, and we dress in Star Trek costumes. We interview really cool legends and just people in the entertainment industry in Hollywood. There goes my phone. And I love red carpets. I work at all the red carpets, and I'm a live streamer. So I was the first to do Periscope and all the red carpets, and my audience is like they're like my good friends now at this point. So I'm busy, to say the least.
Well,
but I'm so excited to be working with you guys. I just believe in your brand so much, and I think you're incredible, Arthur. And you just know how to make people feel comfortable, and I think that's so important in this industry.
And yes, I did pay her to say that, everybody. I must admit that.
Yes.
She'll be cashing the check later. Hopefully it'll go
I will.
Ashley, we're super excited to have you joining the BTVR Live family, and we're going to jump right into it. First,
Okay.
this week, talk about craziness, right? The presidential election. It's weird for me to say Donald Trump is our 45th president. I know what the reaction is here in New York. I mean, we've had protests. We've had just some crazy stuff going on. What's it been like out there on the West Coast?
It's been interesting out here. As expected, people are very disappointed. there's a lot of, especially in the industry that I work in, I've noticed a lot of people are fearful. There have been so many protests going on. There was a burning of a Trump-looking head that someone had, like it looked like a big head that they burned at like City Hall in downtown LA. There is graffiti. There are people that are literally stopping the 101 highway, which if you don't know is the most busy highway in all of LA, and standing in the middle of the streets, protesting, yelling, "He's not my president," and it's been scary. On the flip side, though, I am in Hollywood, so Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is actually right behind me, and I saw a lot of people that were pro-Trump that were celebrating his presidency yesterday, although today I went back to take a look at it, and there's a giant yellow X. So someone went and used some type of paint and wrote all over the star. So it's a little bit of both, but mainly disappointment.
All right, Ashley, so quick update, by the way. My producers just came in. They're like, make sure Ashley looks into the camera. So you got to look into the camera when you're talking to me. I want to see your pretty face.
I'm not looking into the camera. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah.
It's all good. So
I'm just trying to make sure I cover the light behind me because see, there's a light there, so I keep focusing on that.
Producers are a pain in the butt, Ashley. I literally am always missing the camera, so trust me, it's like I get it every 3 seconds.
Yeah. Well, if you see a little light behind me, it's just my halo, so just disregard that.
All good. All right, so one of the big things that everybody was talking about was the celebrity reaction to Trump. Before the election, we had a ton of celebrities from Rosie O'Donnell to George Lopez who were talking about moving out of the country. Then Trump wins and Twitter went nuts. What's been like the celebrity reaction? What's your take on everything?
Well, it's not too surprising just because we've seen so many celebrities really, really supporting Hillary throughout this entire time, such as Miley Cyrus, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Lena Dunham, and so it's no surprise that they went right to Twitter as soon as Mr. Trump was, elected president. And there's a lot of trending hashtags. Some of them were still with her. We had not my president, Twitter blackout, which a lot of celebrities have actually changed their header and their default picture to just a black picture, just solid black color. Trump protest and love Trump's hate. It's tough because, as a celebrity, you have such a following behind you, and you have to be careful what you say because you don't want to spread too much negativity or too much sadness in this sense because now, the decision is made and we kind of have to unite at this point. But, I don't know if you guys are showing some of the tweets, but just a few of them. Ariana Grande said she was in tears. Alyssa Milano, she said she was devastated. Miley Cyrus, she actually posted a video crying. She was in tears, and she said she actually accepts Trump as our president, and she really just hopes that, he can spread love and he can just be a good president for us, and she was just trying to stay positive. We also had some celebrities that were pro-Trump, which we were going to have. We had Christy Alley, who went right to Twitter. She said, "Congratulations, President Trump, against all odds, against the establishment, and even against most of the GOP, you did it." Scott Baio and Mark Cuban also were more hopeful in that, although Mark Cuban just said we really all need to give President-elect Trump a chance and support the good. So mostly in favor of Hillary, obviously, but they did use Twitter as an outlet to express their feelings about it.
So what do you think about Billy Bush now? Obviously, Billy Bush loses his job. But for the same comments, Donald Trump is now the 45th president of the United States. What are your thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were, is Billy Bush going to get his job back? I think I thought I was maybe the only one who thought that, and then I went right to Twitter, and there are so many celebrities going off saying, does Billy Bush get his job back? Obviously, I didn't really think he was going to get his job back, but it just is so strange to see one person who is in the same conversation, guilty of saying the same things or just, actually saying the things, become president and awarded the presidency, and Billy Bush had his job taken away. It's tough. It's really tough in this industry just because when you are a host or you're just, when you are in the limelight, you have to be careful of not just what you say, but what you don't say. And in this case, we obviously see that, the repercussions were we're not in Billy Bush's favor, so it's tough. How do you feel about it, by any chance? Do you feel like he should have his job back? Do you feel?
Look, there's no chance he's going to get his job back. My thoughts are that he may have been cheering against Trump winning, hopefully thinking Trump will create Trump TV, and then all of a sudden he'll have a job at Trump TV.
Oh, I see how you think, Arthur. That's actually funny. I mean, yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in, but he's moving forward.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy because in this sense, you're looking at one cause creating two different types of effects. One effect showing success, another effect showing failure. And it's going to be interesting because you have everybody from Aaron Sorkin to Michael Moore, so many celebrities who are coming out and saying, not only here's what we think about Donald Trump, but how do we explain this to our children? And there's a perfect example of a situation that went two different ways. How do you explain that to your children? I don't have children, so I don't know. But it really shows you that, hey, I can do potentially wrong, whether you think it's wrong or not, and succeed, or I can do potentially wrong and fail. It's going to be an interesting situation to really view in terms of how it's interpreted by different people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Speaking of interpretations, one of the biggest stories of the week in entertainment was the interpretation of a prenup. And the prenup I'm talking about is between Mariah Carey and James Packer. Obviously, James Packer is the billionaire who was looking to marry her on March 1st. Then all of a sudden this relationship blows up. And now it's coming out all over the news wires that it was because she was unhappy with this prenup. And she felt like he and his camp were calling her a gold digger. What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, there's a few things. We don't really know why it ended. We have speculation as to two different things from both camps. Regardless of why it ended, the fact that this information has now come out is interesting. His camp really has said that there was no prenup, whereas hers, there was no comment. It's tough. A couple things. He's worth about $4.7 billion. It varies on each website, but the most accurate was 4.7 billion. She's worth 350 million, I believe. So the money, they could never spend that much money regardless. I mean, you're never going to get through that money in this lifetime. So the fact that there was so much surrounding what she would be allowed to spend while they were married, if they were to get divorced, it was fascinating because she has so much money of her own. The prenup said basically it started out with saying $100 million, was it $100 million? There was, it first started out saying that it would be $1 million per year, which her team refused. And then they came back, his camp came back and said, okay, $6 million per year, and it would add up to about $151,000 a week, which I don't know, Arthur, about you, but I don't think I could ever get through $151,000 a week. And there was just so much attention to detail with this, like she wouldn't be able to spend it on clothing, and she would be given a credit card that was only for her children's needs and her nannies or anything for her living situations. She'd also only be given one private jet. So who can live with one private jet,
Well, here's the thing, Ashley.
Can you live with just one private jet, really?
I personally could live in a little canoe on the ocean. So you're talking to the wrong person. I grew up in poverty, so private jets to me are a whole different, conundrum. But if anybody could blow through that kind of money, I mean, Mariah Carey could. That woman she does it like nobody else does it. But on the flip side, here's my question. If you were in her position, let's say you're a woman worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and here this guy that you're going to marry gives you this prenup. What are your thoughts? How do you handle it?
Well, I think her camp handled it really well in the sense that they came back immediately saying in 45 minutes she can make $1 million with a private concert that she could do. So they came back in a way that was like, listen, she makes her own money. She is independent. She stands on her own 2 feet. So, really, you don't need to say to us, oh, you can spend this and this. I think it was a little bit, I think she took it as a little bit degrading just because she is a powerful woman. She makes her own money. So if I were her, I probably would have gotten aggravated only because he has billions and billions of dollars. So what does it matter to you anyway? He could come back in 50 other lifetimes and not spend that much money. So I just thought it was ridiculous, and the way it was just so focused on clothing that you can't buy clothing with it was just like, what? I can buy my own clothing. So I just think I agree. I would be upset.
My favorite part of it is that when he would give her gifts, if it was anything over $250,000, she would have to return it unless she had a handwritten note from him that said, "This is my gift to you." That's awesome. You got to love that type of stuff.
Well, I do love that she was at Catch in LA, I believe a few weeks ago. She had her 35-carat engagement ring still on, but she had it on her right hand. So props to her for keeping it. But I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. They both have been married twice before, so hopefully they can find love in the future.
Ashley, you're awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you joining the BTVR Live team. You're just an awesome addition, and don't brag about your weather in front of me anymore, because it's about to get really cold and I'll get really bitter.
Oh, no, you can come to LA anytime you want, Arthur.
Ashley, you're awesome. Can't wait to see you soon again. Have a great time.
Bye. See ya.
All right, guys, next up. First of all, how awesome is Ashley Daniels? I can't say it enough. We are super excited to have her joining the BTVR Live team. Great job, Ashley, on your first time on BTVR Live. Next up, guys, Chicago Med is one of the hottest TV shows right now. Dick Wolf, I mean, does anyone create a TV universe like this guy does? From Law & Order to now he's done Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, and Chicago Med. This guy absolutely crushes it. Chicago Med has its fall finale tonight, and the star of it, Nick Gehlfuss, joined us in studio to talk about some of the crazy fan reactions he's had with Dr. Will Halstead. Check it out.
When I go into the doctors these days, they call me doctor.
No way.
Yeah, I find that hilarious. I go and I still do a lot of research and observing doctors, and everyone that works at the hospital that I go and do all the research, they all call me doctor when I come in. And it's the craziest fan experience. I was watching music. Whenever I'm not working, I try and get out and see some music or watch some theater in Chicago. But I can get to a museum, whatever. But I was watching music one night, and this girl, and I heard someone come up behind me and say, "You could do surgery on me anytime." And I'm just like,
I would be so freaked out.
And it's, I was initially, and then I'm like, what? You just sort of have to laugh. I'm like, what is this world I'm a part of? I mean, not to mention that I'm getting called doctor. I mean, that's never going to get old. I'm on a show 1 year, and they go to school for 15 years. They have all this experience to gain that title, doctor, and I'm being called. It's funny.
Well, Dr. Will Halstead's got a big decision to make tonight on the fall finale. His character is doing a kidney transplant from one brother to another, and the first brother is HIV positive, and they have to decide whether or not to perform the kidney transplant. It's going to be crazy, so make sure to check out the fall finale of Chicago Med tonight, 9 o'clock on NBC. Another show that has just become an incredible fan favorite is $1 Million Listing Los Angeles on Bravo. 9 seasons. I mean, think about it. Reality TV, 9 seasons is like 88 years in normal years. These guys have just continued to kill it. The ratings continue to go up, and the franchise has just become an enormous success. The cast joined me in studio, and they told me some of the interesting encounters they have and the fan reaction. Check it out.
What's been some of the craziest fan reactions that you've had so far?
One person got mad at me that they wrote me an email because I wasn't nice to them. I didn't not was nice. I was with my fiance. We were in Palm Springs and we were walking down the street. And maybe I wasn't. I don't remember. I just walked by and I didn't have a full-on conversation with her. And she wrote me a scathing email. And she said, "Oh, and I'm buying a house, by the way, not with you."
That was the one that called us last week. That was
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Episode 10 this season.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I mean, for me personally, this season, obviously, it's been personal as far as my brother not being well, and people have really reached out. They've been absolutely incredible.
I was going to ask you off camera, by the way, how he was.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've shared it on camera, so it's fine. Thank you for asking. But he's doing really, really well with treatment. But people have really reached out, and it's like they're sending me email after email, social media messages of potential cures or like treatments and their stories, and it's actually very warming because people really they've been incredible. That's just this season for me. That's what I've experienced so far. So I'm very grateful for that.
How about for you, James?
I mean, I actually really have no problem with people coming up and being nice.
Because you're built that way. You're like a ray of sunshine all the time.
Thank you.
Like, I hate people.
Yes.
When I
love them.
We'll have people come up and they'll be like, "I love your interviews." I'm like,
That's so kind of you. And I'm like, and not to be, it's like what you dealt with, Josh. It's not to be a dick. It's
Right.
just like, I don't like communicating if I don't have to communicate,
Right.
you know?
I love to communicate.
Make sure to catch on $1 Million Listing Los Angeles every Thursday, 9/8 Central. I literally called myself a dick on camera. Awesome. And maybe one day, actually, if I can afford one of the homes in Los Angeles that these guys sell, I know I'm going to be able to use them as realtors. And hopefully they'll give me a really good deal. All right, guys, so next up, a friend of mine is joining us in studio because coming off of this crazy presidential election, who better to give me insight on our new president, Donald Trump, than someone who's actually worked for him, at least worked for him on the reality TV side. She was a cast member on The Apprentice. My friend Jenn Hoffman. Jenn, I'm so happy to have you.
Hi.
Why is your hand on your stomach
Okay,
right now?
so basically, I'm 8 months pregnant, and she's kicking like crazy. If anyone even mentions Trump, she starts kicking. So I don't know if she's like a fan, a supporter, or if she's in a panic like half the country, but yeah.
You might have a future Republican in there.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so you wrote an incredible article on Esquire magazine, and I was like, I got to get Jenn in here. And in the article, you talked about when you were a cast member on The Apprentice, kind of what it was like, what he was like. Walk me through, what is Donald Trump like behind the scenes when you were on the show?
You know, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. He is exactly the same in between takes, when the cameras are rolling, when he's on set. I don't know if he goes home and is a different person for just his family, but we spent about 2 months with him, and he was just that person you think he is, charismatic, egotistical, in charge, likes the attention, critical, interesting, smart. I know right now a lot of people are upset about a lot of things he said in the election, so it's unpopular to even give him any compliments. But I will say, you know, my experience with him at the time was as a reality TV host, a potential boss, not just for the show, but he really hired a lot of people in real life. And there were things about him I liked. There were things about him I didn't like. But, you know, Trump has always been Trump. I was on the show 10 years ago, and he talked about being president then.
Okay, there was a story in this article that blew my mind, and you talked about, they put you in this house, because it was in LA that season.
Yes, we had the one weird, bizarro, like, jump the shark LA season.
He's probably like, we have the hot girls on this season, we need the house with the pool. But you have this mansion, they put you in almost like bachelor style, you've got this huge pool, and he gives you a choice as to whether or not to wear bikinis, or they're kind of forcing you to wear bikinis, like what was going on?
So he didn't do it, but, all right, so NBC's press people were there that day. Usually everything goes down through Mark Burnett Productions. Basically, they were really in charge, kind of doing whatever Mark Burnett and Trump together decided to do. When we were taking publicity photos, NBC was there that day, and it kind of told us, you know, Trump really wanted the girls in bikinis. That's, you know, a big part of why we're in LA. You know, why don't you take this one opportunity to, you know, get really famous? You know, NBC had all the girls that were there. There were 18 of us. I think it was half women. We're like, no, it's unprofessional. This isn't The Bachelor. This isn't the real world. You know, we're here for a job. A lot of people have real deal careers, you know, like MBAs, lawyers, didn't want to be in a bikini. So they encouraged us to do it, and me and one other cast member did. We said, screw it, and we got in our bikinis. I was, you know, 25, 26 years old, and I'm like, I am never going to look this good again. They're going to do so much publicity for us. So it was weird, because there was definitely pressure to be hot. They certainly did not ask or push any of the men to be in bathing suits. It was definitely just the women in the bikinis, which, you know, I laugh about it, but does speak to larger trouble that, you know, we have right now with women in the workplace being taken seriously. But this also, it was a reality television show, but they did frame it as a job interview. We were never allowed to call it a show. We were only allowed to call it the job interview or working for Trump. Never, you know, this reality TV thing we're on. So it was a little confusing.
What do you think when the grab them by the pee comments happened? So that video, the Access Hollywood video gets leaked. Was it something that you were surprised by or expected?
I wasn't surprised at all when I saw the Access Hollywood video. It's not like Trump walked around set like sexually assaulting women or anything like that. He was actually pretty gracious with us, but he definitely was, just reminded me of those, you know, the guys that are not, it's not necessarily positive, but the guys that think that they're men's men, that think that it's definitely okay to, you know, to approach any woman that they want to. He was exactly the person that he says he is on that tape. Somebody who says he can grab women by whatever, and when you're famous, they let you. That attitude definitely was the same attitude he had on set. I wasn't offended at the time. I don't know if it's because I was younger or just really excited to be there because I was, but he was still that way.
When you look at the reaction today, here this guy is now the president. Does it surprise you?
I'm not surprised at all that Donald Trump is president. He told our cast he wanted to run for president. He said he wanted to do it in 2016. I've been just sitting there for 10 years like, okay, when is he going to announce? When is he going to run? When is he going to win? I was a supporter of Hillary Clinton, but I also, I wasn't surprised when everyone's, running through the streets. What happened? How did this happen? Well, it's happened for so many obvious reasons, but I wasn't, this man likes to win. He made a plan. He figured out who his audience was, which is very similar to the viewing audience of The Apprentice, and just told them a lot of things that they wanted to hear. Whether he'll come through or not is to be seen. Whether, the country's better or worse after him is to be seen. I know a lot of people are very upset about him winning. Surprised? That's crazy. How are they surprised?
Do you think it's a shtick? Do you think that everything he does is calculated, every word out of his mouth, every surprising thing that happens? Is it a shtick?
I think it's honest calculation. I think that he definitely can be reactive and just say whatever pops into his head. I don't think that he says crazy things for the sake of being crazy all the time. Some people say, oh, there's no way he's going to pull off like a mask and you're going to see Andy Kaufman underneath, that it's not him. When his initial campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, said, let Trump be Trump, he meant it. That's Trump being Trump. That being said, this is a very calculated man who will hire a team of people to bring him the information and will make quick decisions based on that, usually the right decisions for his brand or for himself. I don't know about the right decisions for America, but he is a very big mixture of just not listening to anyone, doing whatever he damn well wants, but based on the information that he has a very good team of people gather for him.
We're both New Yorkers, and
Yes.
it was nuts here yesterday. What do you think about the people protesting right now? Does it do any good? Is it moronic? Bethany Frankel called it moronic today. What are your thoughts?
So it's mixed thoughts. First of all, I'm a pro-protest person. I think that people have the right to protest. I think especially when people feel threatened, they have the right to even violently protest if they want to. I think that it's life or death for some people, isn't for other people. However, and I just posted this on my Facebook page, this protest seems to be a little bit, let's just say, without any direct purpose. I understand people are frustrated, so they're going to protest. And the not our president, I understand that people are upset. They don't like his rhetoric. They don't like what he said. But people are protesting the results of the election. People are protesting the Electoral College. That's just stupid.
What are your thoughts about that? It's interesting because she won the popular vote.
Yes.
But he won the Electoral College. Is it an arcane system that we have to do away with, or should we abide by what's in place and continue with it?
Well, I think it's absolutely an arcane system that we have to do away with. But that being said, that's the system that was in place during this election. People weren't protesting the Electoral College last week or last month. They weren't protesting it when Obama won. They weren't taking to the street saying, "Oh, that he won that." Mitt Romney. Well, Mitt Romney didn't win the popular vote, but you know what I mean. They weren't unhappy with the Electoral College when it put Obama in place. I do understand that it seems unfair if the majority of your country wants something for them not to be president, but that's some legislation to put forward. That's an amendment to the Constitution. I mean, you have to change that entirely. So that protest right now seems pointless. To protest Trump, to protest what he said, to protest Pence and his policies, that makes complete sense to me. I'm on the side of protesters, always. It just seems to be that the message is not only confusing, but a little bit dumb. Protesting an election that you lost because not enough people came out. Simply not enough people came out to vote for Hillary, especially in these large states with electoral votes. So you can't protest the result in a fair and square election, but you certainly can protest what you think is going to be the actions of the winner.
You're a woman. You're a soon-to-be mother.
Yes.
How do you feel about this all right now? How do you feel about the next 4 years of Donald Trump?
I am worried. I don't like a lot of the comments he's made about women. I do think the only thing that makes me feel better is I feel that he personally treated me well and gave me a fair shot when I was on his show. Now, that was an isolated experience I had with him 10 years ago, and then we filmed a finale a year after that, and we had a little bit of ongoing communication with him after it. So the only solace I had is that he really did listen to what I say. If I said something, he wasn't just like
That's
dismissive.
been one of the complaints with Donald Trump, by the way, is that he's not a listener.
He was a listener for sure. I mean, look, he acts a little bit like ain't nobody got time for that. Like he doesn't want to keep listening if he thinks you're not worthy of listening to, which I think is a problem. But if you have Trump's attention, he will listen to things. I've definitely seen him listen to things, consider them, change his mind. It's just, it depends. Sometimes he just gets on these kicks where he just doesn't want to hear anything. I think he's a person who can be reasonable, but that depends on his goals. And right now, just seeing like the rhetoric he's used to become president and the constituency that elected him president, I don't know if he could do the things that would make me feel like they're reasonable or safe as a woman and with a daughter, because I'm having a girl. That's made it, right? That's made it more scary, though. I actually, went from this person who I greatly admired Trump, to actually feeling like, am I going to have to fight this man for my family? Real feelings about that.
Would you work for him today? You would have worked for him probably during The Apprentice.
Sure. Now, yeah, but depends. I wouldn't just work for him blindly, like, yes, sir, I'm part of the Trump team. I would work for him if he wanted me on some sort of task force about how to relate better to women, how to relate better to people that are maybe disenfranchised or scared of the establishment that now he's bringing in, because he says he's so anti-establishment and rogue, yet he's bringing in all these establishment people into the, to help him out. Newt Gingrich, all these very scary people with terrible track records for women, like Pence. They're pretty bad for women. So would I consult for him or work with him? If I thought that he was listening, it would make a difference. Absolutely. Why wouldn't I want the most powerful person in the world? Why wouldn't I want to have their ear to help explain what I think that a lot of women, mothers, people are going through?
When you look back 10 years ago, how did that experience change you? How did The Apprentice coming out, because you've done tons of television, you're a journalist, but how did that specific experience change you?
I think in a way it made me feel like I need to be tougher. I think I went in thinking I was a very tough person, and when the cameras are on you 24/7 and you realize how much of things are just a show, how much of what the words out of your mouth and what you say about other people influences the way people think about you, how little time you have to let the public know who you are, how fast one little sentence you say can turn into people's entire opinions about you. It's similar to being, in the election or something. Everything's kind of a show. So I think being on the show really clued me into how much all life is a show and how much people really quickly will interpret anything you say positive. Now, you'll get fans or you'll get haters, like based on something that you said that it had nothing to do with what you meant. So it's made me choose my words more carefully. It's made me understand the audience, respect the audience, even though I think it can be a runaway train. It's made me worry sometimes whether I look fat on TV, but right now I can't do anything about it because I'm 8 months and about to pop.
I deal with that all the time. I'm always like, is my chin too big right now?
Like, oh my gosh, like I was this tiny little person, but not anymore.
I've known Jen for years, by the way. I remember when I knew her from when she lived in LA, actually.
Yeah. I remember you being at my house.
Yes. Yeah. No, that could end up being the wrong one. We have a common friend.
Yeah.
It could be the wrong connotation there.
Right.
It could be the right connotation. Who knows? All right, so this Esquire article, it really touched me. What's been the reaction that you've gotten from it?
A lot of people thanked me for writing it because it gave some insight into what Trump is like. It was for Esquire's Spy. So Spy magazine came back for a month as a pop-up within Esquire.
I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool, and I was honored to write for a magazine that was kind of just this thing that would lampoon all of the best in New York, totally trashed Trump in the 80s, and was just really funny about it. That being said, it made the article have a lot of funny nuances to it. I definitely wrote it from a humorous light, where there were some serious things. I can understand how people could say, how could you joke about things with Trump when there's some very serious issues at hand? So I had fun writing the article, and I thought it was like a cool thing I got to do, but I do understand that this is a presidency, this is a person who has human rights at their hands. So this whole thing, that the Trump election to me is like silly and fun and crazy and weird, but dead serious too.
You're awesome. I love the article. I'm so happy you could join me. Congratulations
Thank you.
on the little girl. Do you have a name already?
Yes, but I'm not telling you.
Whatever. Thanks for joining it.
Thanks.
Everybody, if you have a chance, we'll put up the link. You've got to check out Jenn Hoffman's article in Esquire. Really great inside look as to what Donald Trump was like behind the scenes and his interaction with women. Now that he's our president, it's a must read. All right, guys, so Kevin James has become one of the biggest stars in comedy. I mean, movies, he's done television. Kevin Can Wait's one of the biggest shows on TV right now. So why not conquer the Netflix world with his newest project, True Memoirs of an International Assassin? I caught up with him and Andy Garcia at the premiere, and they told me what to expect. What a change of pace for you, Kevin James. You're now an action star.
Yeah, it was a bit of a departure from what I normally do, but it was fun, and I felt very safe, had great actors, great director, great team around me. So it was a lot of fun to go out there and do something a little bit different.
What's everybody going to get when they see True Memoirs of an International Assassin?
I think it's everything. You're going to get comedy without a doubt. But the comedy doesn't come in the typical way from me especially, but from Kim Coates. I mean, these guys are fantastic. Andy Garcia is great. Everybody's just incredible. Rob Riggle and Leonard Howes is just awesome in the movie, and it just. They really step up in a different way, and it was nice to be able to play something a little bit different, like I said, but it's going to be exciting. It's got a ton of action in the movie, and it's fun.
How much fun did you have making this?
Well, you know, when you sign up to work with Kevin, that's part of the deal. You know, we did have a lot of fun. He not only am I an admirer of his work, we were friends before, you know, so. And we got to know each other a little bit better on the movie, but we did have a lot of fun.
You play his nemesis in this movie, right? Tell me a little bit about your character.
I play the revolutionary hero of the country that I bring him in so he can assassinate the president of my country. That kind of says it all.
Yeah, that does it. No one does a
because
bad
Kevin
guy.
James looks like the kind of guy that can pull that off, you know.
Kevin James, Andy Garcia, Netflix. Why wouldn't you want to watch this movie? It's called True Memoirs of an International Assassin. Premieres on Netflix November 11th, tomorrow. Make sure you catch it when it's up. I already saw it. It's really funny and really good, and he gets to do his own stunts. Pretty cool. All right, guys, next up is one of the biggest cases of our lifetimes. Not OJ, but Amanda Knox. Amanda Knox, you know, everybody was speculating, is this young lady innocent? Is she guilty? She became this international sensation. And we're still wondering, well, two filmmakers decided to make an incredible documentary about it, also on Netflix, and I sat down with them and picked their brain about it, but I wanted to specifically know, why was she acting so weird after the murder? Here's what they told me. When you're talking to her, did she have an explanation for it, or is she just like, I have no idea, here's what happened?
I mean, she says in the film, you know, she'd been dating this guy for a week, and they were kind of falling in love with each other, and then this terrible, terrible thing happens. And she's thrown into this incredible international sensation that captures the entire world. And I would imagine that, you know, it was an overwhelming experience for everyone. She says in the opening title sequence of the film, you know, Diane Sawyer kind of asks her about this behavior question. And she says, well, people respond to things differently. And I think, you know, we're believers in that as well, in that, you know, just look at the spectrum of kind of opinions on her behavior. A lot of people look at her kissing her boyfriend outside the crime scene and say, well, she's getting comforted. A lot of people look at her kissing the boyfriend outside the crime scene and, like Juliana Manini, think that behavior is inappropriate. So there's so many different ways to look at behavior, even beyond the behavior itself. And we found that like a really interesting human kind of dilemma.
All right, so two things. One, you've got to go see Amanda Knox. It's on Netflix now. It is going to take you as inside of that world and that investigation from beginning to end as you can imagine. It's really incredible. And second thing, you've got to watch my full interview with these guys, because I asked them everything under the sun. They had firsthand just knowledge and interactions with Amanda, everybody involved. It's incredible. We'll have that on our Facebook, so make sure to check it out. Really great stuff. Another big recommendation of mine is a brand new show that's coming out. Everybody fell in love with Michelle Dockery when she was on Downton Abbey. She was everybody's favorite lady. Well, she decided to go 180 degrees with her new character on TNT's Good Behavior. It's premiering with a two-part premiere on November 15th on TNT. They now have the first part on the TNT website, but the show's pretty crazy. She told me all about it.
So I play Letty Rains, who is an ex-drug addict just out of prison, trying to get her life back on track. It's a thriller, but it has real humour to it. I guess there's a kind of comedic feel to the insane events that happen in the show. And she runs into a hitman played by Juan Diego Botto. That's a handsome Spaniard over there. And she finds herself in a lot of trouble that she can't get out of. But it's really about, you know, it's very honest about the way people behave. There's good in the bad and bad in the good.
This show is a lot of fun. Take my word for it. Check out the two-part premiere on Tuesday or go stream it on TNT like I said before. Well, guys, that's it. What an episode of Behind the Velvet Rope Live. Thank you so much for joining. First and foremost, an enormous thank you to our new family member, Ashley Daniels, out in LA. enormous thank you to my friend who will soon be a mother, Jenn Hoffman, on her incredible insight into Donald Trump, and all of our wonderful guests this week. Make sure to check out our website, BehindTheVelvetRope.TV. Go get us on Apple TV, iOS, and all that good stuff. And can't wait to see you next week, guys. Thanks for joining. See you then.